You know, jealousy has this way of sneaking in under the radar. It rarely announces itself. It hides behind gestures, reactions, little slips, and phrases that seem harmless at first glance. But there are ways to spot it, subtle cues that give away someone's hidden envy, even when they're trying hard to cover it up. Pay attention to how they respond to good news, for one. When someone is genuinely happy for another, there's a kind of warmth in their reaction. They don't hold back with their congratulations. But when jealousy is lurking, you'll see hesitation. There's a stiffness in their smile, a reluctance, a delay before the words come out. They might even sound slightly dismissive or offer a muted "oh, nice," as if they're trying to be happy for you, but some part of them just can't. Then, there's the subtle art of backhanded compliments. This one's a classic. Imagine sharing an accomplishment, only for the response to be something like, "Wow, never thought you'd manage that." Or, "That's great, for you." These phrases might look supportive on the surface, but there's an edge, a tone that undermines the praise. The words imply that they're surprised by your success, as if you've somehow overachieved or lucked out beyond what's normally expected of you. This form of envy disguises itself as humor or sarcasm, with an emphasis on highlighting your supposed luck rather than skill. Watch, too, for the telltale signs of comparison. Someone envious may repeatedly bring conversations back to their own accomplishments, especially when those aren't directly relevant. They'll one-up subtly, or maybe not so subtly, redirecting attention to their own successes. "Oh, you're doing that? I did something similar, but I took it further by doing this and that." They're trying to keep the balance in their favor, because the idea of being overshadowed, even momentarily, feels threatening. Comparison, in this sense, isn't about mutual admiration, it's a tug-of-war to keep themselves in the spotlight. Deflection is another strong indicator. If, for instance, someone avoids acknowledging a big milestone or accomplishment of yours, brushing it off as if it's no big deal, there's often more going on beneath the surface. They might say something like, "That's great, but, honestly, it doesn't surprise me." Anyone can do that if they try hard enough. These words serve as a mask. They may sound neutral, but underneath lies a refusal to give you full credit. Why? Because true acknowledgement would mean accepting that you've done something impressive, something they may feel they can't match. And when someone is jealous, they tend to focus more on your flaws or mistakes than your strengths. Suddenly, small missteps become topics of conversation, repeated to others as if they're significant. Ever notice how someone envious might bring up a minor failure of yours, even when it's irrelevant to the current topic? They'll highlight that one time you fell short, trying to level the playing field by reminding you, and others, that you're not always perfect. For them, emphasizing these imperfections is a way to soothe their own insecurities, a way of mentally taking you down a notch to make themselves feel better. Another sign comes through in subtle sabotage or withholding information. Say you're working on something together, and they hold back a useful tip or avoid sharing helpful resources. Why? Because they don't necessarily want to see you fail, but they also don't want you to surpass them. In their mind, if they can keep a slight advantage, it feels safer, less threatening. Or, if they do help, they might offer advice that subtly steers you off course, masking their envy behind a facade of support. There's also the pattern of social exclusion. Someone hiding jealousy might include others in plans, projects, or gatherings and leave you out. This exclusion isn't always blatant, it might just be a subtle oversight, or at least they'll frame it that way. But it happens enough to notice. Why? Because if you're not present, you're less of a reminder of the success they're measuring themselves against. Removing you from the equation allows them to relax and feel more at ease in their position, even if only temporarily. And, finally, there's the curiosity that borders on prying. If someone's always asking pointed questions about your life, digging for specifics, it might not always be innocent interest. Sometimes, it's driven by jealousy, an attempt to gauge exactly where you're at, where you've succeeded, and where there might be weaknesses. They might appear supportive on the surface, but there's often a pattern of hyper-focusing on details that don't seem to require such scrutiny. This questioning isn't about getting to know you better, it's about gathering information, seeing where they stand compared to you. These signs are rarely obvious, and that's the thing about jealousy, it's almost never in plain sight. It thrives in shadows, in nuance, in these subtle forms of expression.